Testing. Hey, there we go. Good evening. Thank you. Yardflower. Thanks for letting me know. Glad someone did before it was too late. Um, like I said, I'm like I was trying to say, I'm mostly going to be doing things like side quests tonight. So I figured I'll begin with this. Um, oh, geez. So I can do some stuff and yap about things. Because I have a few things I'd like to yap about. There we go. And, you know, that yapping will also mean that I don't need to keep too close an eye on the chat, because while I'm fighting Orca, I kind of have to keep an eye on things. Oh, shoot. Yeah, Simp, I am going for the 500, and it's going poorly for right now. As you can tell, I'm about a tenth of the way there with one heart left. Slightly over a tenth of the way there. So don't go for anything fancy. I like fancy, though. I mean, you're right. I did tell you last week, right? that, that because I wasn't watching too closely, when I first did this, back when I was, I don't know, 10, 12 or whatever it was, I don't know. However old I was not old. But when I first did it, I did not realize that I could just attack. In fact, I thought that only counters actually counted. Because look, right, I'm attacking him, right, and he's blocking. So I thought only counters counted. So I actually got to 500 hits. That being roughly 250 counters. With only doing counters. I didn't even swing the sword. I just waited for him to counter. It did work, though. I actually got the damn thing. I actually beat it. But man, was that difficult. Unnecessarily difficult, I will say. What was that? Oh, okay. Well, let's try that again, shall we? Doubles rating phone for chat and computer for actual stream, watching on full screen. Full screen, nice. I like the full screen kind of chat. I wish I could get a widget to work where I could have the live chat like down here. I have my supporter messages that pop up. So if anybody donates on Ko-Fi, which by the way, you can do that, and I appreciate every contribution there. But if you donate any amount on Ko-Fi down there, right down there, ko-fi.com/physicalboy, then your message will pop up with a little notification jingle. So, but I don't usually have a nice place to put a live chat. Even if I could get it to work right with transparency and all that, maybe figure it out. But I've never gone around to actually doing it. Honestly, with a square screen resolution like this would probably be the best configuration to do it, to have it just sort of below me down there. Why did I... Oh, well. Oh, that was precarious. There we go. All right. So one of the things I wanted to yap about, if you're in the Discord server, which both of you guys are, I don't know who else you might be joining, might not be, but if you are, I put up a couple of questions for interest the other day. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday, I guess. It was Monday. In the gaming channel. And I was asking a couple of questions about 5th edition D&D. I wanted to know what people think are the best to worst ability scores. Like which ability scores are, from a class neutral perspective, this is what I get for yapping. Which ability scores are the most important? Forgetting entirely about any class abilities or anything like that. Just which ability scores do the most stuff and are the most useful to have high numbers in. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Dexterity. That's what I need. Reaction speed. Really? Okay. The other question was basically the same question, but which are the best to worst base classes? Strictly from the Player's Handbook. I'm looking strictly at the Player's Handbook here. The original Player's Handbook from was 2014 or whatever. Because I want to know, I had this thought. Okay, let's see what you think here. So let me walk you through how I was thinking about this. Because clearly, there are some ability scores that are really useful. Okay? And there are some ability scores, if you're familiar enough with D&D, there are certain ability scores that are really, really useful, and certain ability scores that are absolutely, not completely useless, but, oh, shoot, but a lot less useful. All right, so let's keep trying this, shall we? Heartflower says, I'm also slightly quicker at typing on phone screen than computer keyboard. Really? Is that like a Gen Z thing? I feel like that's a Gen Z thing. Because I will say, I have students recently, in the last couple of years, who almost certainly type papers on their phones. And I know this because of bizarre autocorrect stuff that no actual computer word processor would ever do. So I'm reasonably certain, and they're typos and things that I absolutely recognize just from, like, not just autocorrect, but autofill and swipe typing and stuff like that. It makes me wonder if that is a generational thing. Or it could just be you. That's awesome. Another party member got you booted. Oh my god. Oh god. Okay. Sorry, side tangent to address that point. Toxic D&D groups is like one of the worst things that you can experience in gaming. Like in most games, if you've got a crappy party member, or even a crappy team, it's not that big a deal, right? Even if it's, are you serious? Even if it's relatively long term, it's not that terrible, right? Because it's not something that you really put that much, heart into. Unlike D&D, which you're almost by necessity, really treating in a relatively significant way. And so if you have a D&D group that really sucks, especially if they are out of character toxic people, that is just annoying. It's worse than annoying. It's one of the worst things to deal with in gaming. And I can absolutely see that sort of turning somebody off from the game. Honestly, there's in a lot of ways, I'm almost surprised that I still play D&D after the extreme annoying toxicity of a group I used to play with years ago. One of the first groups I actually played with. If you've heard me and Erica talk about this, it's the dreaded Sunday game. Now, I've had other games running on Sundays that were not nearly this bad, or actually that have been genuinely very good, including the one I'm currently running on Sundays, so it's not a Sunday thing. It's just this one game that was with some really irritating people, and some not so bad people, but a really like a player versus DM kind of a DM, that kind of thing, and other players who had some serious like out of character issues that made the game not very fun. And hey, yeah, if you're still friends with the rest of the group, then clearly you were not the problem, right? That's great. That's good. It's good to have a reassurance that it wasn't just you, it was in fact the group. Or not even the group, it was that other player in this case. Or the group. It can be the group, right? It can be kind of the whole group. Oh, wow, I can't believe that blocked it. Okay, cool. Anyway, that's... Oh, too slow. I'm not gonna make it. I might. Who knows? In any case, being unfamiliar with the precise game mechanics of D&D is no crime. So don't feel bad. Still, think about this and consider if this may be this might be interesting regardless, because it's really about game design. Are you serious? Are you serious? I thought I got that. Well, it's really about a game design philosophy in 5th edition. Or at least what I think might have been an original game design philosophy in 5th edition. One that I don't actually think has still been implemented, right, throughout, like, since then. Because there have been some serious counterpoints to this if this is the design philosophy. But anyway, let me say what's going on. Kidding me. Anyway, yeah, so the ability scores are of varying usefulness, right? And the classes are of various strength, right? So some of the classes are really good, some of the classes are okay, and some of the classes you really have to work hard to make even a baseline competent character. Like, you are going to be less... For some of the classes, you are absolutely going to be less powerful and less useful than the other characters, but maybe you're okay with that, right? Maybe that's fine, and maybe you can make that work. But they are distinctively less strong, especially originally as they were designed in the player's handbook. You're a distracted player. I mean, yeah. That can be annoying. I can understand why that would be, like, why that would annoy somebody. The worst part of the worst distracted player type thing is if it's not just that you're doing something else, which for a lot of people, especially if you have ADHD of any sort, doing something else can help you to focus on what you're doing, right? This is why a lot of people doodle in class notes, and it's why I, quite frankly, encourage that sort of thing in my classes, because it can actually really help a lot of people focus. So, perfectly fine. If that helps you, then great, it helps. But it's annoying if you are doing something else entirely, and you are not only not knowing what's going on, right? You're not tracking the you're not, like, it's your turn is up and you don't know what's going on. You have to ask, wait, who moved there? Which monster is that? That kind of thing. Woo. Or if you are providing distractions to other players, right? So if you're you know, looking at memes and you decide to share an unrelated one with the rest of the party, and everybody else gets distracted too, that's kind of the worst. But if that's not going on, then whatever. Do what you gotta do, and you're playing, right? It's also a game. It's a game. So, you know, keep that in mind. Anyway, though, so, ability source. The ability scores are, in 5th edition, I've found, are far less balanced than in the other editions I'm familiar with, primarily 3.5. Right? In 3.5, almost all of the ability scores were fairly important for at least something significant. Right? Even independent of class. Back in 3.5, the dump stat, the ability score that was the least important, was charisma. They fixed that in 5th edition. They made charisma somewhat more useful. But not much. Not much more useful. But a little bit. It's no longer the least important stat. Because in 3.5, you had all of your abilities did something fairly significant to your character. They helped with significant, important things. Getting there, getting better. I gotta build back up to it, that's all. Build back up to 500. I cracked 200 that time. At least there's no cost for this minigame. I'm gonna do this tonight. It's only been 18 minutes. I think we're fine. I think we can do it. Really already? But in 5th edition, some of the ability scores are really important, and some of the ability scores are kind of important some of the time, and some of the ability scores you can completely ignore. Unless they're essential to your specific character build, you can basically ignore them. So, the top 3 are... The order of the top 3 is a little bit controversial. In fact, Erica and I discussed this a little bit in our D&D group chat, and we actually disagreed a little bit as to which one is the top. But the top 3 are absolutely Dexterity, Constitution, and Wisdom. She puts the order as Wisdom, Constitution, Dexterity. I basically reverse that, not quite. I would put it as Dexterity, Wisdom, Constitution. But I would certainly say that Dexterity, I would say at least, Dexterity is the most important stat. And it's because of so many things that it does on your sheet. Wisdom does a lot of important things. Some of the most important skills are based on Wisdom, so skill checks. So perception, most importantly, right? That was dangerous. And then, of course, Wisdom saving throws. Right? Wisdom saving throws are probably the most important. Dexterity is close, but Wisdom saving throws are probably the most important. Maybe Constitution, but again, those are the three important saves are also Dexterity, Wisdom, and Constitution. That's a carryover from 3.5 when there were only 3 types of saves, and they were based on your Dexterity, your Constitution, and your Wisdom. They were called something different, but that doesn't matter. I'm doing much better this time. Your Constitution, by contrast, only ever does 2 things to your character sheet. There's only 2 places on your character sheet where your Constitution actually matters. However, those 2 things are really, really important. They're anywhere between really important and really important, depending on your class. So your Constitution affects your total hit points, which is really important. Really important, because you are going... D&D is one of those games where you will be taking hits. Like, you absolutely will be taking hits. There is nothing you can do to make it so you don't get hit. So your hit points are crucially important in a game like D&D. So Constitution is really, really important. Oh, balls. All right. And then the other thing is your Constitution saving throws, which is, like I said, one of the most important saving throws. It resists a lot of natural effects, it resists a lot of monster effects, it resists a good many spells. Not the most spells, but a fair amount of them. And, maybe most importantly, if you're a spellcaster, it allows you to maintain concentration on a spell. So if you're casting a spell and you're, like, holding the spell effect, you're concentrating on it. And if something happens to you, you have to make a Constitution saving throw, or you lose the spell. Okay, so yeah, that's con saves. Which is why Constitution is... What the... Okay. Part of why Constitution is so important. Because, yeah, fine, it only does 2 things, but those 2 things are so important that you can't just neglect it. Like, any edition of D&D, you never dump your Constitution. Constitution should never be your lowest stat. It should probably never even be your 2nd or 3rd lowest. It should always be in your top 3, almost always. There are really rare exceptions to that, when you can have it be, like, at 4, and not your character immediately die. But, it should usually be your 2nd or 3rd stat. Your 2nd or 3rd highest. Now, I say Dexterity is the most important because it affects, by far, the most different things on your character sheet, many of which are very important. So it affects your armor class, so how hard you are to hit. That's kind of crucial. Oh, shoot. I'm screwed this time. We'll see if I make it. I'm probably not going to this time. I doubt it. So it affects your armor class. It affects your dexterity saving throws, which dexterity saves are, again, one of the 3 important saving throws. Arguably the most important, because it's a lot of spells. And then also a lot of environmental factors are dexterity based. So, like, if you're falling or trying not to fall, or a lot of traps are a dexterity save, or things like that. So dex saves are really, really important. So dexterity, again, very important. So dex is important. For saving throws. It's also a few fairly important skills. Not the most, not like wisdom, but a few really important skills. Beyond that, though, dexterity also affects your initiative. So who goes first in combat is largely determined by a dexterity roll. Right, so you roll initiative with your dexterity modifier. So that actually makes a big difference. Especially it kind of depends on class to some degree. Because there are some classes that can do just fine going later in combat. But in general, it's better to go faster. And it's better to go sooner. Oh, okay. Lost it. So, yeah, that's important. Shoot, I'm evolving, but backwards. Let's keep trying this, shall we? We could do it. We could do it. We could do it. Okay. I would say maybe I should just shut the hell up and just focus, but that's boring. No one wants to watch me just fail at this over and over again without yapping. So I'm gonna yap. I'm gonna yap. I don't care how long this takes. I'm gonna keep yapping. I say I don't care how long it takes, but I really want to get this done tonight. I'd like to get some other side quests done tonight too. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, shoot. Okay. So anyway, yeah, Dex is really important. Then I would say Wisdom and Constitution are really close. I would almost say like tied for second in terms of importance. Then clearly in fourth place goes Strength. Oh yeah, also Dex. I forgot. Dexterity is also really important because it affects your to hit and damage for any ranged or finesse weapons, which is like half the weapons in the game. Your to hit and damage is determined by dexterity. Now that's radically different than it used to be. In 3.5, your damage was always affected by strength, not by dexterity. And for some weapons, your dexterity could affect your to hit, right? But not your damage. Right, so you still had to have strength to do damage with a weapon hit. Oh, damn it. Speaking of damage with a weapon hit. Okay, well, that sucks. Anyway, so yeah, dexterity is really important. Then Wisdom and Constitution are, I would say, kind of tied for second. Then Strength. Strength is your to hit and damage with more than half of the weapons, because there's some overlap. There are some weapons that you can use either Strength or Dexterity. They're finesse weapons that you can use, finesse, Dexterity to hit with, or, slamming it, hitting Strength, whichever. Right, so your so Strength to hit and damage. A few skills. Wait. I think it's just one. Is it just one? Athletics, and is there another one? Might not be. It might just be athletics. But again, athletics is pretty important. So, okay, cool. At least one important skill. I forget if there are other important skills. It feels like strength ability checks come up a lot. So, at least when I'm DMing. So there's that. Strength saving throws are significantly less important. There are a few things that strength saving throws do, but not much. The other thing that strength does on your sheet is your carry weight. How much you can lift, drag, or carry. So how much equipment, how much treasure you can lug around. Right? That's affected by your strength. That is honestly all that prevents strength from going in the bottom tier. Because it affects your carry weight, strength is reasonably important. Then finally come the other two mental stats, charisma and intelligence. I say them in that order because charisma is probably slightly more important than intelligence because it has the more useful skills associated with it. Intelligence just has the knowledge skills and investigation, most of which don't come up very much. Investigation comes up pretty often, but the knowledge skills don't typically, especially for most DMs and sort of core 5e gameplay. Charisma, it has the three sort of charisma skills of intimidation, persuasion, and deception, which do really come up a good bit. Their saving throws are there aren't many charisma saving throws, but there's even fewer intelligence saving throws, so whatever. Either way, charisma and intelligence, neither of them are particularly important. It really just comes down to which skills that you want to have as a character. But that's all that it affects, is a couple of skills and not well-used saving throws. So unless it's for your class, or for your specific character build, if you really want those skills, charisma and intelligence are both not very useful innately, right? They're not useful by themselves. So that gives us the list of dexterity, then wisdom and constitution, then strength, then charisma and intelligence. Now, classes. There are classes in D&D 5th edition. Per the player's handbook, the base, the initial starting player's handbook, the where 5th edition started 10-ish years ago. I think it was 2014, right? It might have been earlier than that. Whenever it was that 5th edition first came out. Someone can correct me on that. But yeah, 5th edition player's handbook classes. They all really kind of stack up in terms of which ones are the more powerful and the less powerful classes. So there's two classes, and this is actually what made me think of this. Made me think of this little pet theory. There's two classes, Monk and Ranger, which are, at least initially, when they were first built in 5th edition, were by far the weakest two classes. Monks and Rangers were the worst classes. If you're playing a Monk or a Ranger, you were necessarily going to be less useful in almost every scenario than any other player character in the party. There's very little that you can do uniquely, right, as a Monk or as a Ranger. So basically anything that you can do, other classes can do at least as well. They were particularly weak. They don't have any real standout strengths. So they're just by far the weakest two classes. Then there's a bunch of mid-tier classes, which are a little bit hard to categorize, which is why I was asking for help, right? Asking for what do people think are your sort of rank order of strongest versus weakest classes. The strongest class is probably Wizard. But the several strongest classes are almost certainly most of the spellcasters. So you get Wizard, Cleric, which Cleric is an outlier for this theory, but bear with me. Wizard, Cleric, Sorcerer, Warlock, Bard are all absolutely stronger classes than their martial counterparts. That was close. I don't think I'm going to make it this time, but I'm getting much closer. Now, I left out Druid from that list, as far as the strong spellcasters, because I would say that Druid is almost certainly the weakest of the pure spellcasters. If only based on its other class abilities, which don't lend themselves to spellcasting, right? So Wild Shape and the various nature-y type stuff. As well as their, armor, weapon proficiencies, things like that. Far weaker than most of the other classes. Mostly their spellcasting classes, sorry. Certainly top half of the classes overall, but probably the weakest spellcaster. I think most people would probably agree that Druid is the weakest of the spellcasters. 351. Okay, I can do this. Then you've got the various martial classes. So you got paladins, you got fighters, you got barbarians, you got rogues. Right? Rogues are innately half martial, half tactical, skill, something. They are kind of a martial class, but they're this odd little duck that, unlike the other martial classes, does not get anything like extra attack. They get 1 attack per round, and if they miss with that attack, all of their big single target damage stuff is completely negated. Their sneak attack, basically, is completely negated. That makes them, I think, intrinsically, as far as their actual build goes, intrinsically a little bit weaker than most of the rest of the martials. So, like, paladins that can also pump out massive single target damage, but get multiple attacks. Fighters that can hit, never stop hitting. Then barbarians that can generate their own advantage and definitely hit. And then hit for a bunch of damage and get resistances, and they're very tanky, yada yada yada, right? Yeah, rogues, I would say, are not substantially weaker, but on the low end of the various martial classes. I would also say that fighters are, at least in the player's handbook, somewhat weaker than, say, barbarians or paladins, because they do get their own little class abilities, but those class abilities are really specific, and they're non-magical. They are of limited use, basically. And before you come at me with Battlemaster Fighter, here's how I counteract that. Battlemaster Maneuvers were initially going to be part of the base fighter class design, but that was changed before the release of 5th edition. Now that actually comes back. That's important, because that means that fighters got a nerf. Particularly compared to other martial classes, fighters got a nerf. Keep that in mind. The reason for this, the reason I bring up all of this, is because my supposition is, I'm wondering if at least, that part of, or at least one element of the design philosophy for 5th edition was to have classes and their sort of core ability scores have a kind of inverse relationship, right? So the more intrinsically important a class's core ability scores, the weaker that class needs to be in order to balance it, right? So if you have, say, Wizard, which is a really powerful class, oh, damn it. Part of how you balance having Wizard be such a powerful class is by having its core ability, like its main ability score, its only important ability score, be what is otherwise the least important in the game, intelligence. So that balances out a bit, right? If you're going to get this really powerful class, then you're going to have crappy ability scores. At least you're going to have to put your best ability score into the worst ability in the game, right? The worst score in the game, which being intelligence. Mechanically speaking. Right? You put the inverse of this, right? And if you look at, well, Monk and Ranger. Monk and Ranger need the following. They need Dexterity, they need Wisdom, and they need Constitution. In that order. For both of them. And then, vaguely, they need Strength, and then they can dump Charisma and Intelligence. Does that list sound familiar at all? Oh, shoot. Because that list should sound familiar. Because that list is, what I have argued, is the ordered list of which ability scores are the most useful in 5th edition. And so you have these two classes that are the weakest classes, and they encourage you to take the best ability scores. You have what is almost certainly the strongest class, encouraging you, almost demanding, that you take the worst ability score. Right, so, now in the middle, this is interesting, right? The middle is where this gets a little wonky, right? Oh, damn it. Because I think that, like I said, Druid is probably the weakest spellcasting class. However, Druid basically, it encourages you to take Wisdom, really important, Constitution, really important, and then it either encourages you can either take Dexterity, or you can ignore it completely and go Wild Shape, because Wild Shape replaces your physical abilities, your physical ability scores. So you can just rely on your Wild Shape for having a good Dexterity, for having a good AC. But so because you're going to have such, you're encouraged to have such useful ability scores, they kind of have to, I think maybe at least, have to nerf the class, make the class comparatively weaker as a spellcaster. Same with Fighter, right? Compare Fighter to Barbarian. Right, so Barbarian needs to take Strength. And so Strength and Constitution are the two most important abilities for a Barbarian. Shoot. Constitution's great. Fantastic. But Strength is a lot less useful than Dexterity as far as physical ability score. Barbarians also, like, directly discourage you from taking Charisma and Intelligence. Now, Wisdom, they have some wisdom-based class skills, things like that. So, again, Barbarian is going to encourage you to have a weaker ability balance than, say, a Fighter. Right? A Fighter, you're going to have... You can build a good fighter, a very good fighter, that is Dexterity-based. Or you can build a heavy armor fighter that completely ignores Dexterity and goes last in combat. Trust me, I know this. I have 3, 2.5 in my current D&D party. I'm just saying. I have 3 party members that dumped Dexterity, and here I am yapping about Dexterity being the most important ability score. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just laying things out in terms of trade-offs in terms of classes. Right. And now again, Rogue doesn't get the same martial acumen as most of the martial classes do. But in exchange, it encourages you to take Dexterity, and then as a secondary stat, whichever is most important for your subclass, which entirely just depends on which subclass it is. So if you look at the 3 that the 3 that come in the player's handbook, you get Thief, you get Arcane Trickster, and you get Assassin. Right? Okay. So Thief, it doesn't have any particulars. Right? You can take kind of whatever. You should probably take Strength. Oh, shoot. Wrong button. But you can really kind of allot your abilities wherever you want them for Thief. For Assassin, you're going to want Charisma, and you're probably going to want Wisdom. But then you're going to take Constitution, right? For Arcane Trickster, which is the strongest of the 3, by far, no questions, guess what you're encouraged to take? Intelligence. Because it's your casting stat. There we go. Anyway, my thought is, I'm wondering if there was any initial element in the 5th edition game design philosophy that was meant to sort of counterbalance effective ability scores with powerful classes. So you don't have, what has come up in at least one subclass since then, I think it was in Tasha's, which is the Soul Knife Rogue. The Soul Knife Rogue requires literally one ability score for all of its class features. Every single class feature it has is dependent upon dexterity, which, as we've said, is probably the strongest, right? And it is a fairly good subclass. It's not the best. It's not the best rogue, but it's up there. It's very good. And one really important reason why it's so good is because it only demands one ability, and that is an ability that is a really useful one, like dexterity. Right? And so you can allocate your other ability scores wherever you want, say into wisdom and constitution, or whatever your character build says. Right? The other example of this is some of my own design philosophy, a homebrew subclass that I've talked about on stream before at some point or another, which is a sorcerer subclass. Now, I hate the sorcerer class, personally. I don't like it. But it's hard to deny that it is a particularly powerful spellcaster. So you can't deny that. And so it gets charisma as its ability modifier, as its primary ability score. Which is otherwise kind of useless. Especially for a spellcaster, right? The sorcerer is not usually the face of the party, because the sorcerer is usually a crazy person. If we're playing into stereotypes, at least. Okay. But my own sorcerer subclass, my homebrew sorcerer subclass, is called the Muscle Sorcerer. What this means is it replaces, so basically all of its class abilities are to replace Constitution for Charisma in your casting stat, and then eventually in your ability, in your skill tracks. The point of this subclass is essentially to allow you to have, instead of charisma, which is otherwise not as important, to have a really good skill, Constitution, as your only stat that you really need as a sorcerer. Now, you'll note, most sorcerer subclasses, most subclasses in the game, do a whole lot of stuff. Right? They all do something really, really cool. They have additional cool class abilities. They let you do something unique. With sorcerers, usually you're doing something unique with sorcery points, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. In this case, it's not really. All it does is replace that ability score, and that alone makes it very, very powerful. I think I probably gave it an expanded spell list, like some of the more recent sorcerer subclasses, but whatever. Point being that just changing that ability score around makes it substantially more powerful. Like, you can imagine, what if there were a pure spellcaster that cast from dexterity? How unbelievably powerful that would be as a class. Right? Because if you're a pure spellcaster, that means your casting stat is your primary ability, right? That's the one that you mainly need more than anything else. Now, you might need other abilities, but not for your class, right? Your class abilities all proc off of that one casting stat. So that means that your other ability scores can just be chosen... Oh, okay, never mind. Just hit me. Starting over. Your other ability scores can all be chosen based off of... what you want, first of all, what you want your character to be like, and then two, what you want your character to, what is stronger overall, right? So if your class really requires your intelligence, your strength, your dexterity, your wisdom, that's 4, and we still haven't mentioned Constitution. That's a big problem because you need your Constitution for your hit points, right? So what this means is, if you suppose you had a full caster that is dexterity based, you don't need to worry about putting, putting a second or a third's ability into your dexterity after your casting stat, right? Because dexterity is already your casting stat. That's already your strongest. And so your second strongest can be, you can optimize. Your second strongest is Constitution, your third is Wisdom, etc., 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 no problem. It's immediately apparent how powerful a character option that would be. And it's also immediately apparent why Wisdom casters typically get a nerf in terms of their spell lists. Oh, shoot. That being Cleric and Druid. Now, Cleric is the weird outlier here. That does not quite fit with this model, because Cleric is close to Wizard, if not on par with Wizard in terms of sheer power. But it's also important to note that a lot of that is because of versatility, right? It's because of that divine domain you get at first level that Clerics become so good. Because you can have a Cleric that does all sorts of different things and have it do it decently well. Not excellently, but at least decently well. But I will also say, though, as a pure spellcaster, Clerics are sub-wizard. Wizards are a better pure spellcaster than Clerics. I would probably even say the Sorcerer is a better pure spellcaster than Cleric. I would say Warlock is a better pure spellcaster than Cleric. Lateral change, maybe. Warlock is a bit odd because of the whole pack magic thing. Anyway. But yeah, Cleric purely as a spellcaster. So I will say that, yeah, Cleric is maybe an outlier here, because it encourages you to take Wisdom, which is a really important stat. The downside to this is, I think, generally, the Cleric class kind of discourages you from taking Strength. Right, so Cleric encourages you to take Wisdom, Strength, Constitution, because everyone should take Constitution, especially spellcasters. But not really Dexterity, and you do kind of need Dexterity. Even those Cleric subclasses or domains that get heavy armor should take Dexterity for things like saving throws, for things like skill checks, and of course initiative. To get that good concentration spell up. First off in the first round, yada yada yada, that whole thing, right? So again, it seems like a bit of an outlier, but I do think that because Clerics are sort of discouraged by their class from taking high dexterity, I still think it kind of balances out. Also, though, having a Wisdom caster be so powerful is part of, I think at least, part of why Cleric is one of the best classes in the game. Like, if you made Cleric an Intelligence or Charisma caster... Ah, shoot. If you made the casting stat Intelligence or Charisma, it would be way, 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 way weaker. The Cleric would not be nearly as strong if it had a weaker casting stat. It would absolutely be outstripped by the likes of Sorcerer, Bard, Warlock, the Charisma casters. If you made Cleric a Charisma caster, the other Charisma casters would be better. Oh, damn it, really? Okay, keep trying. Anyway, this is... I don't actually know if this is true, if this is actually part of 5th edition design philosophy, but I am curious to know. You know who I should ask? I should tweet at RPG Pundit. I know he was on the design team for 5th edition. And he was part of the crunchy parts. And some of the game balance parts. Really? I got too fancy. Anyway, yeah, I should tweet at RPG Pundit, see if he knows any about this. Woo, that was a hell of a jump. But yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts. Those are my theories. What do you think? Could I reasonably be onto something, or am I just crazy? Or was this just my general thoughts of those poor monks and rangers coming out here? Anyway, I'm not actually. You know what? I'm just gonna get hit. No, I said get hit. Come on, Link. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, it's been almost an hour. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. What's the reward for this? Is it the magic armor? I hope it's something useful. Oh, come on. I'm evolving, but backwards again. Okay, let's go. Let's go. We can do this. If you think I should have a cutoff point for this, just feel free to let me know, and I'll go cry about it. Literally, I don't think, but wait, Juliana, a piece of heart? That's it? Okay, that... I'm thinking I might give up at some point. Where do I get the magic armor? Anyway, hi, Jules. Yeah, a piece of heart, that's it. It's a piece of heart. That is 1/4 of 1 extra hit point. That's not... Listen, I just spent the last, I don't know, half an hour trashing Constitution compared to Dexterity. So, I mean, look. Yeah. Man, oh, come on. I gotta say, I love Zelda for its minigames like this, but also the rewards for so many of them are so minor. Oh, wow. Managed to hit him 1,000 times, he loses count and tells you to stop. I love that. Not that I will ever do that, and I never have. Having beaten this game like 3 times, this being number 4, I've never done that. But, cool. We roll all the way across the room. Ah, damn it. Okay. All right, someone tell me when to give up. I don't want to give up. I really want to do this because I have committed to it. I have wasted like an hour and a half on this at this point, but because I've wasted like an hour this time and like the last half hour last time. Because this also might be something I can do off stream if I ever feel like being horrendously frustrated in the middle of the night one time. I'm getting worse. I'm getting worse! I kind of gave up there. Why am I getting worse? I got to like 350. Like 20 minutes ago. I can do this. Maybe... Yeah, I don't know, man. I can do this. I know I can. I've done it before. Like I said, I've done this way back. Like I said, years and years ago. Like 20 years ago or so. When I first played this as a kid, only using counters. Because I did not realize that normal hits actually counted. Because I figured he was blocking them. Because, you know, it's fair, because I can block with my shield. He's blocking with his spear. So, right, you know, I didn't think these hits counted. So I only used counters, and I got to 500. Yes, oh god, it took so long. But, you know, I was 11 or something, so... I don't think it's the best way to do it, because it does take, like, an hour and a half. Also, hitting him provokes him into counterattacking. Oh, shit. Because also you can miss like that. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna try it. Okay, this is going smoother. Is this actually gonna work? No. Yeah, I know it counts them as doubles, so that actually does help. But I need to do, like, 200 counters. I'm going much more zen here. Also, I'm sure this is how he wants me to do it. Like, in character, he respects this. Orca respects this a lot more. Occasional little jab here and there, just to get him interested, but overall, counters, man. Counter strikes. Just... I can't believe how well this is working. Damn. Lost my nerve there. Can't believe this is working. Imp Simp, you know what? I think you were wrong. I think the counter-based fighting style that trained us all for Souls-likes before they even happened. I think that's it. 200. You see this? Counters with an occasional little poke seems to be a really good strategy. Oh, I say that, and then that happens. I'm halfway there. Halfway there. I only have 1 hit point left, but I'm halfway there. I'm not reading all that, sorry. Oh, now I can read it. Hi, Master Lee. This is the good strategy, though. I'm going to do it this way next time. Okay. Get your towels ready. It's about to go down. Shorty, yeah, everybody. Okay, I'm not going to read that because the expectation is that I'm going to sing it, and I won't do that. Anyway, hi, Master Lee. How you doing? Oh my gosh. All right, let's. Okay. I'm much more confident in this new fighting style. And by new, I mean how I did it when I was 11. I can't believe this. Actually, I think I was 12 when this came out, but whatever, still. I was in middle school. Sometime in middle school. I know that. Ooh, I like that headcanon, Jules. So Orca was headcanon Link's grandfather, but he couldn't marry Grandma because he was conscripted into the army. I actually really like that as a headcanon. Come on. Poke. Poke. As far as I know, it's not really implied anywhere. I kind of like for those sorts of theories to have some kind of hints, because otherwise they are just, you know, players being schizophrenic, you know, as we are often. But I like the idea. Oh, okay. I'm doing poorly this time, regardless of my very cool technique. I'm focusing too much on poking. I'm not focusing on the counters. That's why. If I focus on the counters, I just zone it in. I think I'll get it. Oh yeah, Jules, you had a bunch of lore on the Windfall Islanders. Yeah, I totally respect that. Like, I love the aesthetic of this game. And I don't just mean like the cel-shaded graphics and the character designs and stuff like that. I mean like the you know, island living stuff is just so nice. Like, all the Great Sea stuff is just so wonderful. Plus, like, it has definitely at least the second best Spanish-themed music zone with what's it called? Dragon Roost Island. Only, I would say, narrowly being beaten out in terms of music by Gerudo Valley. Both are amazing. Yeah, I keep praising the sort of general aesthetics of this game. The feel. The vibes, as they say. Woo! I'm failing slower this time. Okay, so I think I can get in 2 clean pokes if I get them immediately after the counter, because he doesn't counterattack that quickly. That was the fastest. But if I do it immediately, then oops. Then I should not have to worry about missing the counter again. And then just wait for it. Oh yeah, I know there was a lot of there was a ton of backlash to the initial art style. I don't even know if I liked it initially. I was like, wait, why is it looking like this? This is so unrealistic compared to those, like, you know, photorealistic graphics of the N64. Um, I wasn't a big fighter in the console wars at the time. I was into it a little bit. I was a Nintendo fanboy at the time. But I do remember that this was ammunition for, like, Xbox simps for saying, oh, look at the GameCube. It can only do cartoons and GameCube babies. Meanwhile, we have Halo. You know, that kind of crap. But, I mean, which, I get it, fine. Nintendo has a reputation since the GameCube of having undeniably the least powerful console in the modern console wars. Which is, yeah, very true. I'll grant that. But, at the same time, I think this art style really works. At least in retrospect. Like I said, I can ah, damn it. Like, I can see the I can see where the criticism comes from. I can respect the criticism. Let's try one. At least one more time. I think really focusing on the counter is working best for him. But yeah, I do think that it got a lot of... It probably deserved, to some degree, criticism. For being a kind of kiddie art style. Which, alright, you know, I get it. I understand. I understand it. But at the same time, cartoons are not just for kids. Especially, keeping in mind, this is a Japanese company. You know? This is in the context of anime. I mean, it's not an anime game at all. But it is, like I was talking about this a lot last week, while I was doing this. While I was doing the same horrific minigame, side quest thing. I really, really like Japanese takes on Western fantasy. Like, this, honestly, all Zelda games are Japanese takes on really classical Western fantasy. But there's a very distinctively Japanese spin on all of it. It's definitely a Japanese design, Japanese sensibilities in a lot of ways. But it's also absolutely Western fantasy. You know, look at the sword. Come on. Look at any instance of Link's sword. He wields an arming sword or a long sword. Or a short sword. But a Western one. A very, you know, medieval European classical fantasy cruciform sword. Link is even a devout Catholic, as we all know. But like I said, I really like that. More recently, what's really gotten me interested in Japanese takes on really classical Western fantasy is Freerun. Freerun Beyond Journey's End, the anime. I was talking about how much I really, really liked it. I've talked about it a few times, actually, how much I like it. But it's a distinctively Japanese take, because one, it's an anime, and it was originally a manga, and it was originally in Japanese, and all that. But also, for lack of a better term, some of the enemy types and some of the world building is very Japanese. The world of demons and the way that demons are portrayed is a very Japanese kind of portrayal of demons. So there's that. There's also the mana system, which I think tends to be a more Japanese game design philosophy or whatever, rather than, Vancian magic, which is more typical of Western fantasy, or innate magic. Both of which are more typical of Western fantasy. But everything about it, aesthetically, is absolutely Germanic, right? I mean, Freyrin, the name, it's German. All of the names are German. The place names, everything is sort of late medieval, early modern German. So, I like that kind of thing. That kind of the Eastern take on Western tropes. It's a lot of what I liked about Nier Automata, which was Japanese takes on Western philosophy in an anime shell. Which, if you haven't seen my series playing that, I did that a couple of years ago. I would recommend it. It was good to check out. It was a fun series. It was a fun game. We talked about a whole lot of stuff that I actually know something about. That being philosophers of the Western canon. That is my actual academic expertise, after all. So I think the game was kind of relevant to that sort of thing. Woohoo! I'm doing great this time. I say that, I'm gonna jinx it, but whatever. Probably fine. I will also say that Freyrin does a great job of dealing with one of my favorite elf tropes. Elf tropes especially, but really any immortal in fantasy. The idea of the long view, and also combining the long view of one's life and of history with the constant and aching death of all of one's mortal friends. Right? Doctor Who had a great line about this from the 12th Doctor, no, 13th, Peter Capaldi. When he accidentally makes Maisie Williams' character from like the Viking era immortal, he tells her that immortality is not living forever. It's watching everyone around you die forever. And man, that hits so hard. Which I actually like. I really like that as a trope in fantasy. That elves. I like immortal. First of all, I like my elves to be immortal and ideally ethereal too. Right, immortal, ethereal, a wonder about the world to some degree. Right, that's always nice. Which Freyrin's definitely got. I like my Tolkienian elves, for lack of a better term. Rather than I don't actually like elves in Forgotten Realms lore, where they have like 1,000-year lifespan, give or take. They live a lot longer than humans, but they are fundamentally mortal creatures. That bores me. They're just humans with pointy ears, basically. So yeah, I don't love Forgotten Realms as elves. Because they're not immortal. They are mortal creatures, and mortal elves bore me. Why be an elf if you're not immortal? Or why write about elves? Why play an elf? Why write about elves if they're not so unique and different from humans? You might as well just play a human, right? Anyway, or write about a human or whatever. Write about a wizard because they live forever. Or they live for a long time, but they're still mortal or whatever. Make your elves immortal. Like, grow a pair and just do it. Which is what Freyrin does. The elves in that world are, at least as far as I can tell, immortal. They can be killed, again, like most elves in most fantasy fiction. but they're what we would call biologically immortal, which I actually really really like because it allows you to explore a lot of fascinating philosophical topics. First of all, like the gift of men, as Tolkien calls death. Tolkien refers to death as the gift of men, or at least that's how his elves refer to it. Because in Tolkien's view, elves, being forever tied to the world, have to be deeply concerned with the affairs of the world. Humans who die and leave the world can afford a kind of separation from it, kind of conceptual and psychological separation from it. We're offered a kind of relief from forever having to deal with this world. So anyway, I like the philosophical stuff that you can do with an immortal species like elves. And Frieren does a lot of it. A lot of it is like the long view of memory. That so much of the series, and if you have not watched it, this is not spoilery. This is really predictable, and it's all in the first 15 minutes, which, by the way, the first 15 minutes of the series is an absolute masterpiece. If the first 15 minutes had simply been an anime short, and nothing more was ever made in the Frieren universe, I would be completely and totally satisfied. If you just want to watch the first 15 minutes of the anime as a standalone thing, do it. It's amazing. Absolutely incredible. But in any case, the whole series is about coming to remember and appreciate and see in a new light one's treasured memories of beloved friends who have long passed. Most of whom have long passed. Some are still alive at the beginning, and some of whom pass away along the route, throughout the journey, yada yada. But the whole concept is, the subtitle, Beyond Journey's End, is this idea that, because it takes place after what is essentially a D&D campaign, right? But it takes place after the end of it. Hey, Imsip. Welcome back. You're teaching me, poorly. You told me to do it the wrong way. I've been doing a counterfocus strategy this time, and I've been wildly successful. I might actually win this time. Oops. I got lucky there. Oh, you're teaching U.S. history. Okay, I thought you said you were teaching me. I misinterpreted that. Okay. I've been on Orca for an hour and a half. I almost did it, though, so just... everyone shut up for, 30 seconds. Ah! Done. Hit me. Done. Oh, wait, really? No, he doesn't. You lied to me. He does not collapse at 501. You lied to me. I did 502 or whatever. 502, you have improved. You have already become a fine swordsman, but I am certain you can do even better. Link, take this. I got a new heart container! All that for that. All that for that. Thanks, Orca. This is how he pays his rent to his brother. Oh my god. Now what? Do you wish to fight me again? No! God! I'm out of here. Okay, so anyways, Imsim says, I'm teaching U.S. history for 2 weeks, probably longer. How to get coloring supplies. Having my kids color a map of the U.S. Oh, cool. Very cool. That makes more sense than you saying you were teaching me. Because I thought you were saying you were teaching me, and I was going to blame you for this taking me an hour and a half. Come here. Ping! Really? I need rupees! That's magic, not rupees. That's not rupees. Ooh, you got a shock trooper helmet from GameStop? Cool. What Link looking at up there? Oh, you can long shot that once you can hook shot that once you get it. Okay. Oh, if you hit him 1,000 times, he gives you. Oh, I thought it was just he stops counting. It's a silver rupee. All right, all right. Not worth it. Not worth it. I'm not doing that. Thank you though. Thanks for telling me what I'm never going to see. Oh gosh. All right. Now, Sim says, I want to get a master's. I'll decorate my cap with Vader saying, I met you with the learner. Now I am the master. Oh man, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I didn't walk for my master's because I had a weird weird academic journey getting here. Oh, you finished this game Thursday night. Nice. Cause I didn't walk for my master's, and the reason for that isn't just because I didn't wanna or whatever. Which, to be fair, I'm not a fan of graduations in general. But setting that aside, I will say that let's check out Headstone, see what it tells me. I will say that part of why the main reason why I didn't walk is because I basically did a combined master's and PhD program, got my master's, or was like granted my master's partway through, just in an informal sort of, you have your master's, it's on your transcript, here you go, have a master's degree, with the expectation that I would get my PhD in the next few years. But then I wound up, I took a little bit extra time getting my dissertation work done and my comps done. I got my comps done. I got everything but my dissertation. And then a bunch of stuff happened. My grandmother died and COVID hit within a few months of each other. So I took some time off, which is great. The combined program is 6 years. It was supposed to be 6 years. I was on my seventh year when I took. My intention was to take a year hiatus because, COVID and everything, but because of, things like finances and, COVID and everything, I wound up not going back until my hiatus lapsed and my committee basically fell apart. One of my committee members retired. One of my committee members moved to Georgetown, that kind of thing. So, like, a bunch of stuff happened, basically. And long story short, I wound up not finishing my PhD. And the reason I didn't finish my PhD is, in part, because I probably could have. Reasonably, I could have. I could have, if I had actually done it in 6 years. But I mean, realistically, I just kind of lollygagged on my last couple of years of it, which I realize now I shouldn't have done, but it was hard to know at the time. Hey, King of the Red Lions. With the power you have now, you can neither lift nor destroy that stone. And yet, somewhere on this sea, the power to do so lies waiting for one to find it. You must seek it out. Where, O King of the Red Lions? I thought he was going to give me advice as to where to go. Oh well. All right. Throw some bait just off this island? Like, for the fish, or just right here? Stay near the island and throw some bait. Sure, why not? I have some. Like right here? Oh. Seagull. Oh, the fish. Okay, sure. He'll tell me, won't he? Here you go. Thanks, fish. Wasn't sure what you meant, that's all. Hey, small fry. Using the same bait all the time to make a premium brand? No, they don't. Don't you wonder what's behind it? Want to get in there? Great secret. Okay, 4 north, 3 east. To Fire Mountain. Okay, let me write this down. Somewhere. Where's my note sheet for this? Oh, right. I need to go to Fire Mountain and Ice Mountain. That's right, because I now have the fire and ice arrows and I can turn them off. I'm dumb. I forgot this game. Forgot the game. Okay. Yeah, cool. In any case, play with me a bit. Sure, why not? I'll give you 10 arrows for that bow of yours. Aim those suckers at me when I leap out of the sea. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, let's do this. How familiar am I with Catholicism? White? Oh, damn it. Okay. I'm not great at this. Oh, he goes at an angle. Oh, this is rough. With Eastern Catholicism? Fairly. Not as... Oh, God. I'm a terrible shot. I'm not as familiar with Eastern Rite as with the Western Rite. Roman Rite, Latin Rite, whatever you want to call it. Various Western rites, let's say. Catholicism, because there's a few. There are a few. Probably the most obscure Western Rite that I'm familiar with is the... shoot, what's it called? What's it called? Benedictine. Yeah, the Benedictine Rite. They have their own rite, technically. Gotcha! Alright, I just needed to kind of dial it in, that's all. Alright, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. Oh, you think the idea of an Anglican rite is ridiculous? Really? I get it. I understand. 5 times. That's not bad. Here, thanks for 50 rupees. Alright. England was formerly Latin Rite. It should return rather than being given a new one. Yeah, probably. I think the main reason for it is the the reason for the ordinariate is the priestly privilege, whatever it's called. I forget what it's called, but the idea that that Anglican priests are given a more or less a special privilege to basically become... Oh. Wait. Is that the command melody, or is that the Gales? There we go. Perfect. We're just talking about Eastern, different rites of Catholicism, and the ordinariate in particular here. Let's go to Windfall. And I think there's a guy here who can teach me the song to turn it to nighttime, if I remember right. Day to night, the sun song, or whatever the equivalent is. It seems too accommodating Protestantism. Celibacy should remain simply an Eastern tradition. You mean a Western tradition, right? Because I don't know. I would say it is a way to have, to maintain non-celibacy outside the Roman Rite, and to keep it out of the Roman Rite. That way the Roman Rite can be completely celibate, can remain completely celibate. Excuse me. And so, but you can still bring in potentially married Anglican priests, right? into their own right. That's why I think that's probably that's good enough rationale for having the separate right. But I don't know, maybe some people are still attached to the Book of Common Prayer or the hymnals or something. That's less important, I think, than the what is it called? There's a name for the privilege. Whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. Being poor must be pretty rough. You take one look at me, and that's the first thing you think, isn't it? I ask you, why is that? Sure, the days can get kind of tough, but good things still happen, don't they? Money doesn't make the sun shine, you know. Just recently, my missing daughter Mila was returned to me. I didn't think I could ever be more joyful. But then she went and started working at that shop to help out with our tight family finances. What a trooper! Could that girl be many more of an angel? Although, I do worry how she always seems to sneak out at night. Is there any shop in town that's open at night? The look in your eyes seems to imply that you have something to say. Well, what is it? Are you suggesting that I should go to work too? Ow, but oh, my back has truly been hurting me of late. Really just aching. If I were 20 years younger... Wow, you're a useless piece of shit. You. Don't look at all familiar, buddy. Are you some kind of tourist or something? You are, I'll show you around. Why don't you join me for a little stroll around town? Our Windfall Island may be a little cozy, so to speak, but people from all over the world come here. The town's always lively. Aha! Why, just walking around and having a look at things is quite fun. That's the mark of a great town. Sim says, though I'm very much anti-English. I mean, fair. I firmly believe England should abandon Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Gibraltar. As an American, I believe separating them was from them was for the best. Yeah, I think so. Big fan of Anglo-Saxon England. Alfred the Great. Yeah. So, mostly due to religious and family history reasons, I'm something of a Jacobite. I think the Stuarts were deposed, and that the current royal family of England are just basically pagan usurpers and laughable. So yeah, especially given the Stuart line didn't die out or anything, still exists. There's still a rightful king of England. Anyway, my ancestors fought on one side of that war, and I'm still not over it. You learned about the parliamentary system in college. Comparative government. Agree, Jacobite all the way. Yeah. Ooh, and how do I look today? You know, he always shows his pictures of me just as soon as he's taken them. Should I take a picture of you? Is that what you're saying? I have 3 pictures, and they can't do anything. No, I want to delete. How do I delete? Erase. Okay. This is the auction house, right? I need to come back here at night, if I recall. Oh no, this is potion shop. Okay. Sim says, I like our federal system. System more. It's more stable. Their system totally ridiculous. Yeah, basically. I can, in fact, give you some chew jellies. How about some greens? Here. What do these do? Is that? Could it possibly be? Did you by chance bring me chew jelly? Oh ho, ha. This is an extremely rare color of chew jelly. Perhaps it indicates a new breed. What a fascinating jelly development. I've never seen one of this particular hue on Pauperin Tile, a small atoll famous for its robust chew population. But I digress. The game is afoot, for when it comes to making potions, I am a true artiste. I have been shown something rare. Inspiration bubbles up from within me. Oh, wait for it. Here it comes. Oh. That's it. That's it, that's it, that's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. Okay, good. Sparkle I was looking for. Okay, Eureka. Brand new, unheard of kind of potion. Yeah, I do think that the federal system tends to work better. That said, I'm an anarchist, so um, I'm basically an anarcho-capitalist. If you want to be either overly specific and or overly idealistic, I'm an anarcho-monarchist. I think that there can absolutely be a rightful king or monarch, be that as it may. I don't have a bottle. Do you have one? Oh, man. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm going to talk to the shopkeep about the flowers. Yeah, I'm an anarcho-monarchist, basically, which I've talked about rather more extensively in the past. The idea, roughly, being that actually, you know what? I will after the stream. I will link an article that I wrote more on the topic. It relies on the scholastic distinction between power and authority. That these things can separate, and in the concrete application, almost always do separate. So authority basically means the right to rule, or the correctness of one's rulership. Whereas power is the enforcement of one's dictates. Right? And I would ultimately say that the exercise of power in illegitimate ways illegitimates or undermines one's authority. So if you are, authoritative, if you have authority, then passing dictates and enforcing them essentially makes it so that you no longer have that authority. You're no longer authoritative. Skull necklaces, yes. How about I give you some? Is that what you're after? Hey, you want some? Never mind. You want some? Never mind. Okay. Yeah, it's worth a shot. Need rupees though. So what this essentially means, broadly speaking, is that if a king dictates you ought to do this, right, passes a law. Okay, legislation is also blasphemy, but setting that aside, that gets more complicated. If a king says this is the way things ought to be and makes a ruling, to violently enforce that ruling in a way that is non-voluntary, that is not agreed upon in some way or another by all parties present, including the perpetrator, by entering into some kind of a contract, that sort of thing. Enforcement, aside from simple, straightforward self-defense, invalidates one's authority, because it is one's judicial authority is supposed to be based upon justice, right? It's for the sake of justice. But the violent enforcement of involuntary power is essentially unjust, and so it undermines one's authority to claim justice. Right? That's the basic idea. Oh, no, young master, I have ill news. Someone's been fiddling with my safe. I've come to the shop first thing in the morning. Dear me, I see signs suggesting someone fiddled with things. Perhaps someone has been sneaking in here at night and doing some shady things. But I do not have any proof. Dear me, such a mystery. If only I could catch them in the act. I could scold them, and oh, what a scolding I would give. I need to lurk at night. It's her. Hey, you. Come on, use your head. You can't just stand there like that. You're in my way. Can't you move? Oops, that won't do. That won't do at all. I'm already back to my old habits. I'm terribly sorry, really I am. Welcome to you, sir. Best way to Windfall's outdoor shop. Chock full of fun and happy products. Yes, yes, yes. It's another fine day, is it not? Days like this are best spent shopping. No, I don't need more of these. I do need to do some trading, some more trading. It's the pictograph shop, right? Or is this the canon thing? Canon game. Which I should do, again, because it's side quest o'clock. You're welcome. It's 10 rupees per game for kids. Yeah, let's play! Ahem. Welcome to the fleet, etc., etc. Battleship! Large group, small group, medium group. Radar system, 24 cannonballs. Marauding squid pods. Okay. Aye, sir. 20 cannonballs. Okay, that's the small one. Okay, there's a three left. Damn, it was right next to the other one. Are you serious? Yeah, let's go again. Why not? Let's go again. Okay, there's the three. Could be the two there, but I don't think so. No. Okay, well, I hit it, but it really does require luck. He says, okay, we're on government now. To paraphrase Churchill, capitalism is the worst economic system, with the exception of all others that have been tried. No, that's nonsense. Sorry, Churchill, but that's... Here we go. Okay. They're by the edges. It's the two left, so I'm... Ah, oh, come on! Alright, I'm not going to go below 250, below 150, so I do at most two more. Oh. Okay. It's the big one. It's this little one. Alright. Nah. There's gotta be a way of doing this, like, better, right? I don't know. Yeah, so I would not say, I'm not one of those who says that, well, the Churchill's quote there of capitalism is the worst economic theory except everything else that's been tried. No. that to me is very similar to the whole, like, socialism is great in theory kind of nonsense, which is, by the way, abject nonsense. How do I light it? Do I just have to move the wind right and then it starts moving, or do I need to release the thing first? I forget. I forget how this works. Does this work? Maybe I need to talk to the guy. Which means... go back up. In any case... what's this? Is this the coffee bar? Yeah, it is the coffee bar, isn't it? Or no. What? You there, halt! Oh, you're just some wretched street urchin. I thought you were the postman. Be thankful, because if you were the postman, I would have shooed you out of here before you could say boo. But say, you look rather familiar for a street urchin. Have we perhaps met before someplace? No, but thanks. This is upstairs in the auction house. Fascinating. Can't light the fireplace. In any case, though, like I said, I have really no patience for people who say things like Churchill there, that oh, capitalism's the worst thing except everything else. Well, it's not actually bad. It's strictly good, like, morally speaking. It's good. As a Catholic or a monarchist, it's not that simple. I absolutely, I also have no time for people who say that, well, as a Catholic, I must hold to this or that bizarre esoteric political theory. No. That's also no. Also definitely not. I mean, of course you reject England's current monarchy. They're illegitimate. We've been over this. By almost any theory, except the, like, conquest theory. The U.S. should have our own independent monarchy? Yeah, probably, except it'll, of course, never happen. Be neat if it did, but let's be realistic. It's not going to happen. We're wildly anti-monarchical here. In any case, though, right? So, capitalism just means non-aggression. Capitalism is entirely reducible to the non-aggression principle. That's it. That's what capitalism means. It is individual ownership of the rights of the means of production. In other words, private property. I can own things. And if you try and take my things, you are committing a crime. And that is the only crime. Is aggression against person or property. That's what capitalism means. That is an incredibly moral theory. And I will also say that it's not just an incredibly moral theory, it is it's a damn near miraculous theory. Right? Here's what I mean by this. And the idea of spontaneous order, right? That society can order itself in some way without requiring some kind of rulership. The fact that that is possible, and this is drawing on the sort of the late Scholastic, the Spanish Scholastic, like Suarez, that given that society is observably capable of organizing itself without or even in spite of rulership, top-down rulership, that we can, through our own personal individual interest, like self-interest, promote the common good. That's basically a miracle. That is, the invisible hand is the hand of God. Right? And it was referred to as the hand of God before Adam Smith called it the invisible hand. Right? That we act in accordance with God's will. And we all do. For our own self-interest. And again, this relies on a lot of doctrines like primary and secondary causality, a lot of scholastic doctrines before Adam Smith had his bizarre secularized version put forward in Wealth of Nations. So yeah, absolutely. As far as distributism, I think it's stupid. But if you want to do it, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. That said, if you want to do it, by that I mean, but if you want to own uh, productive property, if you want to be an old-timey farmer, go ahead, be an old-timey farmer. I don't care. I also think that it's dumb, and distributism as an economic theory completely denies comparative advantage, economies of scale, all kinds of economic laws that we now know to be true that were honestly proven by the time that Belloc and Chesterton were writing, but they ignored them because they were, old Englishmen smoking stogies instead of, academic economists. But yeah, I think that distributism is dumb. But again, if people want to be more closely tied to their productive property in that sort of way, okay, that's fine for them. But what about the rest of us? I absolutely prefer the stability of wage labor, the stability and economizing of wage labor. Like, think about in academia. As an academic, I own some of the means of production. This webcam thingy, books, stuff like that. But what I don't own and can't own, in any reasonable way, is the university. We scholars come together into communities that are universities. That is something where I trade my teaching for payment, and also for a place within this scholarly community. That kind of thing cannot happen on a distributist model. It just can't. There's no way of coordinating that sort of thing on a distributist model. You need something like a capitalist model where you have investors, where you have owners of the property, and then you have contributors to the work. Right? You need a managerial, or maybe not managerial, but an owner and employee kind of model for a university. I think that distributism basically eliminates way too many sectors of the economy, and it makes the ones that it keeps wildly inefficient. We might be okay with doing distributism if we're perfectly fine with a, 1600s standard of living, but no later. No beyond that. And that also means 1600s population. If we implemented distributism, and by implemented I mean if we forced especially distributism upon any sizable economy, it would lead to poverty the world has not seen for hundreds of years, and mass deaths, in the same way that communism does. And that, of course, is the other problem with distributism, is that every implementation method almost anyone has ever put forward, especially Belloc, is heinously, disgustingly violent. So no, I'm not a distributist. I think that it's very silly. You want a couple of points, a couple of books on the subject? I can recommend them to you. No wait, it's not this one. It's Tom Wood's other book. Do I have it right here? Shoot. I don't. It's called The Church and the Market. I forget the subtitle. I'll put a link to it. Oh, it's somewhere. Damn it. Probably in the other room. Called The Church and the Market. It's another of Tom Wood's books. It has a imprimatur and everything. It's a great book. The other one I'd recommend, contra distributism, is I have the book jacket. I don't have the book. Is this The Hobbit Party by Jonathan Witt and Jay Richards? Jay Richards is a Protestant turned Catholic apologist and an economist, and this is basically about Tolkien's political theory and what we can take from it. He basically points out that Tolkien was not a distributist, and we shouldn't be either. And their chapter on localism is just perfect. Excellent on that point. Salazar's Portugal I don't know enough about. Imsimp. Franco's Spain is not a good economic model. No, it's corporatist, which is like what we have now. But we're big about it instead of relatively small. So no, the corporatist model is also bad. Franco was better than the alternative, but that isn't saying much. Let me put it that way.
Oh, to think that I would survive my ordeal and return to this town, and to think that I would ever be able to live in such a beautiful, opulent house, it's like a dream come true. But no, no, it's a nightmare. Without him by my side, it's like a rainstorm rages in my heart. He was so kind to me in the Forsaken Fortress, that sweet boy who gave me all those expensive necklaces when I fled from the Cursed Island. Just hearing his name lift my spirits. Mo, the wonderful moblin from the Forsaken Fortress. Oh, Mo, why, Mo?
What the hell is going on?
I'm always writing heartfelt letters filled with my overflowing emotions. But why don't you answer me, Mo?
He's dead. Probably my fault.
Oh, this is bad, oh terribly bad. I've already drifted off into my own dream world. Oh, by the way, I have a request for you. Could you take the letter I've just finished inking and deliver it to the postbox for me? Please, I beg of you.
Okay, this is dumb.
What? Really? Oh, such a dear. You've made Maggie so happy.
Maggie's letter. Yay.
Don't you dare forget. But you must promise me not to read it. The secrets of a girl's heart are not to be shared. Are only to be shared when she so desires.
Okay, this is very silly. Yeah, dead. Yeah, he's almost certainly dead. Sorry, Mo. Imsim said, was Franco with Spain an ideal society? I heard somewhere that Spain was spared World War II because like Portugal, they consecrated themselves to Our Lady's Immaculate Heart. The girl voices sound good. Thanks. I wasn't trying. Whatever. Yeah, Where's the post box? Oh, it's near the front of the island. Okay, I'll get around to it. Let me try this. I need to get up to the lighting thing. But yeah, it's I mean, that part's good. There are good aspects to it. There, like I said, there were good aspects to Franco's rule. It's just not a lot of them. Oh, here we go. That will do. Juliana said, meant to send this earlier when you were talking about school. I had to stop my master's program because being surrounded by Anglicans was slowly killing me. I get it. My thesis advisor, who I greatly respect, I really do still very greatly respect. I still use like a lot of his scholarship in my own reading and research and teaching. Dr. Thomas Williams, by the way, I highly recommend basically anything he writes. Best Anglican scholar I know. Let me put it that way. That said, Anglican still. Rather Anglican. Anglican priest at that. So I understand that. But he's also a phenomenal Scotus scholar, an Anselm scholar, Augustine. He recently published a fantastic translation of Augustine's Confessions, for example. Anyway, like I said, yeah, no, I understand the whole being surrounded by Anglicans. To be fair, maybe I'm just comparing trauma, but I feel like I probably had it worse, given that I was doing my PhD at a secular university, on what is essentially a theological topic. But whatever. Interesting. That didn't help. I have to get it spinning, don't I? Something? Huh. Okay. Lighthouse signal should return to light the seas at night. Yeah, that'd be good. I'd love for that to happen, but how? Did that work at all? How do I get it spinning? Because I think that's what I have to do. They were also very progressive Anglicans. Yeah, that's a big difference, I think. That makes a big difference. Worst kind, really. Anyway, though, yeah. Sim says, I can't imagine people believing a king in the 1500s has more say in church matters than the Vicar of Christ, and he formed his own church for a divorce. But heaven forgive that a modern British royal wants to marry a divorcee. Yeah, right. I mean, yes, heaven forbid that a modern English royal wants to marry a divorcee. Like they shouldn't, because that's still adultery, like regardless of anything else. But anyway, whatever. I have those thoughts too. What else do I need to do? What do I need to do for this? Let me see if I can get the Make It Nighttime song, which is here. I think it's that guy, the dancing guy. Kay says, I'm not a fan of distributism either. Yeah, good. Shouldn't be. Most people shouldn't be. Too bad Chesterton is partially famous for it, because most of the stuff out of it is solid. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I like Chesterton a lot. I like most of what Chesterton has to say. I think he's one of the greatest witty aphorists in the Catholic tradition. Oh, this is the jail again. Okay, I don't need to... No, never mind. Rupees! Jules says, there are a few prominent Catholic professors at UT, but UT is weird in that it offers hardly any terminal master's programs in liberal arts. That is odd. Says considered Coons is probably the most prominent one, if I remember correctly. He's in the philosophy department. Oh yeah, I know Coons. I mean, I don't know him. I know his work. But yeah. Not my area. He's a logician, right? Primarily? Something like that. It's been a little while since I've read anything of his, but yeah. Or is it epistemology? I forget his specialization now. It's bugging me. It's gonna bug me. Anyway, Imsip says, in my youth, I will admit, I was more radical in my monarchism and love of Franco. Since I've become less radicalized. Well, that's good. Less radicalized, at least in that direction. Become more radicalized in the libertarian anarchist direction. And, of course, in Catholicism. Radical Catholics are great. In college, I hung out with a lot of Knights of Columbus, though no fan of Mussolini. That's good. Once was a staunch Italy supporter. He felt they should have stayed out of World War II. Good move. Realized they were off the rocker and distanced myself. Yeah, like, okay. Basically, everyone should have tried to stay out of World War II. That goes for both World Wars. All three, really. Whichever hypothetical World War III is going to happen, everyone should be trying to stay out of it. That should be, like, basically #1 priority. Because if enough people jump in to a potential World War III such that it becomes a World War III, it's the end of the human race. Or at least the end of human civilization. And I don't want that. I'll just, I'll save my apocalyptic dreams for when Christ comes back. Not for when some senile psychopath decides to press the red button. Imsim says they were absolutely too radical, always in trouble at our college for offending other students. Well, that's gay. Being in trouble for being offensive, come on. Anyway, and I said I should be too, and stop being neutral. They believed in debating everyone at all times. Yeah, that's also gay though, so don't do that. That's cringe. He's in logic. Okay, I thought Coons was. Okay. Also legitimately racist too. Yeah, don't do that. Don't be racist. Don't. Also anti-Catholic to be racist. It's explicitly condemned. So many times we went to Latin Mass, they'd say some racist rhetoric. Yeah, you don't like that. Jules says, applying an Aristotelian framework to solving contemporary problems. That's what his bio says. Love it when people do that. That's kind of like I kind of do that too, honestly. Like my dissertation thesis is it's more like applying an Aristotelian Thomistic framework to solve contemporary problems. So, essentially employing scholasticism, but primarily my thesis was that we can apply the convertibility of being, the doctrine of transcendentals, to solve most, if not all. My thesis was most, not all, just to clarify. I was not going that bold, but most of the perennial problems of contemporary philosophy. The convertibility of the transcendentals basically solves nearly every perennial problem there is. Good thing we forgot that and completely disregarded it with no disproof whatsoever in roughly the 16th century. Yeah, great. Thanks, Enlightenment. Anyway, basically, my to use a term I borrowed from Thomas Williams, my thesis was a McIntyre, which is basically what he called it. I'm taking the McIntyre route of saying, "Hey guys, we used to know things, and now we've goofed it. Let's go back and fix some stuff." Anyway. Oh, you grew up in far left California. You couldn't speak your mind. Yeah, that's gotta be rough. A magical dance that chasens day into night, and night into day. If I could recall only, if I could only recall the rhythm, then I could dance it perfectly. Is that it? Cha-cha, cha-cha, that's it! That's the rhythm I've been trying to recall. Oh, I can feel it, guy! Yeah, I know. The Elvis LARPer. Yeah. This is very Japanese reflections of Western culture. Oh, what? There we go. He would slay at Vegas. Oh, yeah. With that little spin move? Yeah. Song of Passing. That's what it's called. That's it. And it's perfect. I'm perfect. Now bring on the night. Woo! Look at that spin. Fancy. Hey. What's the matter? Nothing happened. Nothing at all. Why? I'll do it. First, make sure there's nothing else I need to do during the day. Is there? Now let's do it. Yeah, I mean, he's a weird mix of Elvis and Richard Simmons. Like, the outfit is very Elvis. Maybe a little bit, like, with the tassels, maybe a little bit Evel Knievel. The attitude and the hair and everything, that's also very Richard Simmons. Hey, dude. Why? Why does my dancing do nothing to the skies? Why am I cursed so? Just where am I lacking, guy? What's wrong with me? I must know. I will also say I enjoy all the voices and all that. They're fun to do. They are far more radical and outlandish than my typical like D&D DMing voices. I kind of tend to keep that a little more muted. Wait, Catholic Monarch, the Great Catholic Monarch Prophecy. You're gonna have to explain that to me, guy. I've not heard of such a thing. I might have, but I've probably at least not referred to. I've not heard it referred to as such. Oh hey, the mailbox is a jumpin'. Good evening. Letters for Link. Here's my letter. How you doing, Link? You have enough of Granny's soup. Where are you now? You may be closer than I suspect. Are you hungry? Are you keeping warm? You haven't injured yourself, have you? Yes, actually, I'm missing a quarter heart. Sorry, Granny. Always worked so hard, Link. Do you have enough rupees? Your grandma doesn't have a lot, but I'm sending you everything I've saved up. As long as I have you and Errol, I don't need anything else. I just want the two of you to return home safely. Love, Grandma. Oh, she sent me 20 rupees. She tucked 20 rupees into her letter. Oh, that's so nice of you, Grandma. Let's deliver this nonsense. Here you go. Postage 5 rupees. Yeah, fine. Last Roman Emperor, also known as the Last World Emperor, or the Emperor of the Last Days, is a figure of medieval European legend. Oh, okay. These are sounding more familiar. The Emperor of the Last Days is the term I have heard before. Developed as an aspect of Christian eschatology. I should talk to her first, I guess. The legend predicts that in the end times, a last emperor will appear on Earth to reestablish the Roman Empire and assume its function in the biblical catacon. Do you mean eschaton? Anyway, I'm not familiar with the term catacon. Who stalls the coming of the Antichrist. Okay. Okay. Seems legit. My thoughts are... Okay. Recording my thoughts on this will require me to talk about my thoughts on the prophecy of Revelations in general. So let me do that after I have this conversation. Shh. Take off. Go away. Okay. You're about to go do something nefarious. What? Did I really goof the quest already? Wow, okay. I'll have to try that another night. The prophecy was supposed to be French, Ryan says? I'm not sure. Although, I mean, I think so, but also not French per se, but to reestablish the Roman Empire or the Holy Roman Empire or some such. Faye says, well, Christianity does hold to a form of virtue ethics, as opposed to a deontological consequentialist system, so I can see your thesis being well received. Yeah, but not... Okay. Here we go again. I take McIntyre to not be defending virtue ethics. There. I said it. I know he says he is. I know he says he's defending virtue ethics in After Virtue and Since, but I don't think he is. And here's what I mean by that. Virtue ethics as an ethical theory is so wildly contrary to his entire problematization of ethical discourse that to say that I'm defending virtue ethics as opposed to consequentialism or deontology completely misses the point of his criticism. McIntyre's criticism is that we have these separate ethical theories, and because we've tried to break them apart into these competing ethical theories, we're incapable of understanding ethics per se. Instead, what we should be doing is we should be taking ethics holistically. We should be looking at the consequentialist aspects, the deontological aspects, the virtuous aspects, and the natural law aspects. We should be kind of taking them all into one in a way that takes ethics from the ground up. This is what Ralph McInerney winds up doing in a lot of his work, most notably Ethica Thomistica. This is essentially the goal of my ethics class that I've been teaching the last several semesters. Right? So to take McIntyre's project as saying consequentialism and deontology bad, virtue ethics good, is to miss McIntyre's point entirely. I don't think that's what he's doing. I think what he would be saying with respect to these three is that the distinction is the problem. That yes, virtue ethics gets a lot right, insofar as Aristotle got a lot right. Right? It's not that we should be taking, say, Hannah Arendt or Philippa Foot is the other major contemporary virtue ethicist, right? Aristotelian. Anyway, we shouldn't be taking their virtue ethics as a competing theory with deontology or consequentialism. Rather, we should be dismissing these as parts of the picture that miss the forest for the trees. And all of them do. That's McIntyre's major point, and I think that's what we need to take as his major lesson. That way we can recover a sort of holistic approach to ethics, and therefore also a holistic approach to metaphysics, and even a holistic approach to logic, to every aspect of philosophy. Anyway, there's one rant. There's one McIntyre raid out of the way. Another one. Another rant. A rant about the end times and about Revelation. I am what I have come to call a cyclical preterist, because I don't actually have another name for this. I take what is essentially Jimmy Akin's view, as best I understand it. And it's that the prophecies in Revelation are not necessarily about particular events in time, they're about patterns of history that repeat and instantiate in different forms throughout history, and that Revelation is about how the church interacts with the world. So, the mark of the beast is not the Roman denarius. It is not vaccine passports, right? Or whatever. No, those are all and both marks of the beast. Because the mark of the beast, for example, as just the easiest example to pick out of Revelation, is something that the tyrants of this world implement to draw us away from worship and love of Christ. And it's something that happens in relevantly similar ways throughout history. Right? It's not a particular thing. The Antichrist is not a particular person. There is a spirit of Antichrist that is embodied throughout the church's history, right? Because we are in what is effectively the end times already, and we have been for 2,000 years. Just shy of 2,000 years. It'll be 2,000 years in like a decade, which is pretty cool, by the way. We're probably all going to live to see the 2000th year of the Christian era, so to speak, since the crucifixion. That's pretty cool. Anyway, Kim Sim says, I've heard the beast is Nero, and the mark meant those who blindly followed his rule. I mean, yes, but also, why be that shallow? No other part of the Bible, especially no part of biblical prophecy, is that shallow and one-layered. The beast is Nero. The beast is the Roman Empire. The beast is the World Economic Forum. The beast is the mark of the beast is central bank digital currencies. It applies just as much to today as it did to what was happening when Paul was writing it. But John, not Paul. John was writing it. So yes, I'm a preterist in the sense that yes, John was talking about the Roman Empire. He's talking about Nero. But John was also talking to us today, because the same patterns of history instantiate themselves over and over throughout the history of the church. Im Sim says, I've heard another Catholic apologist mention that we are in the middle of Revelation. It's been going on for 2,000 years, as you said. Of course it has. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The end times, we are in the end times, but we have been since Christ ascended to heaven, at least. Like, at the latest, since the ascension, we've been in the end times. Well, now, good evening. Yes, I rent out the first floor of this mansion in order to run a nightly auction. And actually, tonight's auction is about to begin. Oh, dear me, is it ever? Now, it is indeed an auction, but I like to describe it in more simple terms. It's a competition, very highest order. Oh yes, it's a competition to see who can get the item that's being auctioned. Can you outbid everyone else? Do you have the courage and the fundage? Oh, the drama. But what's this? Well, dear me, do I detect a hint of curiosity? I believe I do. Fortunately, we welcome bidders of all ages, both kids and adults. Do tell me, would you like to participate in the auction? Hell yeah! Bay says, wait, wouldn't virtue ethics already encompass elements of deontology and consequentialism by definition? Insofar as it does, then yes. Then it is what McIntyre is defending. But no, not necessarily. Right? There are modern virtue ethicists who hold virtue ethics to simply mean the doctrine of the golden mean, or something like the imitation of an ideal person, or something like that, or an idealized, I should say, person. None of which really encompasses other moral theories or aspects of other moral theories or anything like that. What McIntyre's doing absolutely does encompass aspects of deontology, aspects of natural law, aspects of consequentialism, sure. But that's not what contemporary virtue ethics is. Not at all. That's not the common contemporary reading of Aristotle, for example. Imsim says the irony that the empire that persecuted the church and martyred so many of early church leaders would become the holy city, and Rome became synonymous with the Church of Christ. I love that. You've coined the St. Paul effect. Yeah, I like that. I like that very much. Someone who viciously persecuted the church becomes a great saint and spreader of the church. That's how the church spreads. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. And we see that throughout history. Russia, for example. Russia has over and over persecuted the church and then become wildly Christian, and I think it's happening again. That's pretty cool. I think it's hopefully going to happen again with a lot of the West. A lot of the West is even currently violently persecuting the church. But we know what comes next. It'll take a couple of generations, and for our generations that have to suffer through it, it'll suck. And probably more so for our children and our grandchildren. But after that, I think there's a lot of reason for hope. China, Russia, England. England is going to take, like I said, England is going to take, I think, the longest out of all of those to convert back, to reconvert, so to speak. China is the Chinese communism is in the process of collapsing. They're facing a demographic winter. They are their economy is running into all sorts of problems because, of course, it is, because communism is retarded. So China will, I think, eventually convert, maybe even within our lifetimes. Russia, definitely within our lifetimes, within the next probably decade or two. Russia will once again be a sort of Orthodox capital, maybe even Catholic. We can hope. Maybe not too reasonably hope, but we can hope. Imsum says, for example, in communist Romania, which is not something I know very much about, so forgive me here, persecuted Roman Catholic Romanians, but left the Orthodox alone for the most part. The Orthodox collaborated with the communist government, were given ownership of many Catholic buildings. Ooh, yeah, I don't love that. But again, the seat of the church was maintained somehow, in some form. Bay says, so prophecies like history are cyclical. That may not be the best way to phrase that, but I'd agree. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that. I mean, the prophecies about the Davidic kingship, and even the Davidic kingship of Christ, don't just prefigure Christ, they prefigure all Christ types and all Christ figures moving forward. And even the priesthood, the Davidic priesthood of like the actual church. All that is all looped together. Like any given bit of scripture doesn't just talk about one thing. No bit of scripture talks about just one thing. Imsim says, I've noticed through history the Orthodox have been quick to collaborate with hostile governments. Yeah, that's true. The Ottoman sultans appointed the patriarchs of Constantinople and installed anti-unionists. Yep. That is, well, it's because of their strain of Caesaropapism. It dates back all the way to the Eastern Roman Empire. They're very statist. Again, me being an ANCAP, calling someone statist, who'd have thought, right? But yeah, I think that Caesaropapism is kind of to blame for a lot of that. That's why Constantinople fell and Rome never fell to pagans or outsiders. I mean, it kind of did. It was sacked a few times, but true, it never stayed fallen. Really, dear me, really. All right. Yeah, I think I remember how this works. Let's begin immediately. Let's see what the item is. See how much I want to bid for this. Yeah, Himself says, exactly. Where in scripture or tradition does Jesus say, Caesar, you hold the keys to the kingdom of heaven? Yeah, no. First, let me thank you all bargain-loving people for joining us this evening. Let's turn out. Auction's about to begin. I'm so excited. This! Ooh, treasure chart. Okay, nice. What a prize, what a prize. At last, the suspense is over. Drama aside, you should know it's extremely rare to even get this chance to own a fabulous luxury item. Precious, valuable, etc. Begin. And begin. $63, huh? Oh, okay. Caesars are not infallible. For centuries, they were pagan. Eastern Roman Empire had many iconoclast emperors. Yeah, iconoclasm is a very Eastern trend. And it's not just Eastern in terms of, like... I'm gonna wait. The key is to wait and then shock everyone right near the end. Ooh, jeez. Ooh, there's 40 seconds left. Jesus. Microcosmic. That's a good way of putting it, I think. Time's running out. All right, I have 30 seconds more. Okay. I have not seen the series The Young Pope. So I can't say for sure. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I've heard a lot of less than good things about it, so... Jesus. I'm really gonna have to up it a lot, aren't I? Okay. Oh my god. Okay, 8 seconds left. Okay, I can do this. Let's go to 180. Okay. Alright, I have stunned everyone. Hopefully this will last, because I can't go higher than that. Yeah, and I mean... Sold! I spent all but 15 of my rupees. This was not great, but okay. Okay, hopefully it's a good one. So yeah, young conservative pope comes to Rome and cleans up as much modernism as he can. I got the impression from a lot of people that it's very critical of that idea in some ways. Thank you. Wonderful. Excellent. Good. Kid, well done, I guess. All right. But yeah, it's like it seems to be portraying it in a relatively negative light. At least that's what I've heard. Okay. I'm gonna take off and go away to right here. A cardinal tries to corrupt him by seducing him with a beautiful woman. It fails. Roots that corruption, also finds himself. Brings back ancient traditions like wearing papal tiara, which is based. If anything, watch the clip of him getting ready. That I've seen. I've seen clips, including that one. Most of the clips of him smoking as well. I've seen. Not most of, but I've seen plenty of clips of him smoking. How am I supposed to do this, by the way? Okay, if I just keep my distance, I think I'm okay. Yes, I do think we should bring back traditions like that, in no small part to distinguish ourselves from Protestants, but not entirely. I mean, it's also because, a lot of those traditions are valuable in and of themselves. Right? the beauty of the church is, I think, critically important for, I guess you'd say, for drawing people to Christ to a large extent. Okay, there she goes. Oh, I need the Picto box, don't I, for this? Where'd she go? Shoot. Should she go down or should she go out? She go out. I think she went down here, right? Yeah, here we go. Who's there? Hey. I got your picture. Did I just fail? No, I didn't fail, did I? Did I fail? Interesting. Okay. Let us try and go up onto the Ferris wheel thingy. I did fail. Really? I confront her at the very end. Ah, Jesus. Okay, whatever. I thought I could just take her picture. There I go. Oh well, we can try again. He makes really interesting philosophical remarks. Look at the person next to you. Look at them, and then with the eyes of love. And I remember that Saint Augustine said, "If you want to see God, you have the means to do it." I like that. And make specific choices when talking to her. It's confusing. Yeah, well, I figured. A lot of the quests in Zelda games are especially earlier ones like this. This is still pretty early in the like pre-handholdy era. Here we go. This should do it. There we go. I have made light. I don't know what that... Oh, that's what that does. Okay, cool. Oh, jeez. Well, let's go confront her again, shall we? Sim says it's an idea that I like, the notion that we are made in the image and likeness of God. We ourselves are a reflection of the divine. Something we should always remember. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely right. It's also a great anti-iconoclasm bit, right? Because I mean, if God didn't want us making images of God, he wouldn't have made images of God. You know, us. Bay says they think it's predicting a future event that we can look back on and verify the truth and authority of the Bible. But it's laying out a pattern that repeats various levels of reality over and over. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that is the biggest distinction. That what they think is that it's simply for the verification of Scripture, of the authenticity of Scripture or whatever. Which no, that's rather silly. It's not that simple, right? It couldn't be that simple. Nothing in Scripture is anywhere near that simple. Or rather, it, like you said, it is laying out things that will happen so that we can understand them when they do. Whether that is one particular specific event that will happen or the kind of thing that will happen. And I tend to think that usually it's the kind of thing rather than this in particular. Right? That's what most prophecies are, really. It's about how do we understand the future, or how do we understand the patterns of reality, rather than how do we understand this or that particular thing happening. Then again, I think a lot about patterns of reality rather than particular events. Sim says this is why I don't like Mormonism. This is why you don't like Mormonism? This one? This is it? Oh, darn it. Oh, okay, that was close. I am a cat. That's all.
Nothing more. I'm a meow meow.
It doesn't seek humility, despite saying they do. The notion that we are worthy to enter God's presence by answering questions the correct way. Yeah, that's sketchy as heck. Okay, so I just need to stay back, right? Yeah, no one. Right, exactly. No one's worthy of being in the presence of being in His presence except for the mercy of Christ. Oh, that's it. Shoot. Did I goof it? I goofed it again. I thought that was the end of it. All right, let's try this again, shall we? This is probably gonna be the last thing that we do tonight. I've only now not even quite finished my coffee. I haven't even started my Rob Roy. I made myself a Rob Roy for tonight's stream, and I haven't barely touched it. It's one of my favorite cocktails. Rob Roy and Loch Lomond are probably my two favorite. And they're both Scotch. They're both Scotch cocktails. Well, what is the same with the miracles of Jesus? That we take them too much to be like just verification that Jesus is divine? Because I tend to think so. I think that is like the verification of Jesus' divinity is one of the least important things about his miracles. I mean, yeah, it does that, sure, but that's not the important part. Shh, hey, take off, go away. Okay. I'm just a kitty too. But yeah, they also don't allow coffee, but I drink it regardless. Well, good for you. You desensitize myself. Afraid of getting coffee or beer in public. Yeah, well, I mean, once again, the one of the difficulties of leading a double life, one of the many. Okay, so where do I wait? How far back do I need to wait for this? Like back here, fine? Hmm. Oh, shoot. Oh, God. Where did she go? No. Did I lose her? Oh, there she is. Oh, jeez. Okay. I almost had to meow again. Link almost on that mewing streak. Oh, God. Don't. Why would I say something like that? That's a horrible thing for me to say. I hate it. Oh! Didn't realize you were there. Where is she going? Why is she doing another loop around the island? I don't understand this. Okay, yeah, the miracles of Jesus accomplish so many things at once. Yes. Yes. Yeah, most of them are ignored or are written off the most. Yeah, absolutely. Do I confront her now? Now what? Oh god. Here she comes. We need to follow her for another hecking loop? What is this? Why? Do I need to confront her while she's picking the lock, or what's going on here? I waited too long. Okay. Okay, so confront her while she's picking the lock. I thought I did that. I guess not. Oh well. Try it again. I will say, Zelda always does really poorly when it comes to stealth sections. Again? I'm a fan of Resident Evil games. Kinda. I think we talked about this a little bit last week. I haven't played one since I think 4. And even that I didn't finish it. So right now. What? You startled me. Oh, here we go. I didn't fail. That's good. What do you want? My heart is racing. You scared me. Wait, are you kind of creep who goes around at night scaring people? That's just plain mean. Just who do you think you are anyway? An ally of justice. What? An ally of justice? I'm not a thief. I swear I haven't stolen anything. Well, yet. Please let me go. It was just an impulse, that's all. Just a bad idea. You've been here 6 times, girl. Do not let her go. Do not let her run off. Yeah. Why won't you say anything? Does this mean you're mad at me? Would you at least listen to the circumstances in my life that led up to this moment? Please, you owe me that much. Yes. I was once the richest little debutante in town. Did you know that? I did, actually. But one day, a monstrous bird came and took me away to a terrible place called the Forsaken Fortress, where I was locked up and held captive. Oh, it was awful. I know, I saved you. But my father spent every last rupee in his coffers in an attempt to get me rescued. That's right, every last bit of our family fortune gone. That was when my life of poverty began. Now every day, from morning till night, I'm busy working for the open-air shop. So as you can see, at least I'm trying to settle into my poor lifestyle. Doesn't that just tug at your heartstrings? What do you say about the tragic events in my pitiable life? Cool motive. Still theft. And to make matters worse, for some reason I still can't figure out, that slob Maggie, who's the poorest girl in town, suddenly got filthy rich. Maggie of all people. It makes me so mad that I want to do something terrible. Grrr. Do you understand my plight? Very well. Then you'll let me go? No. But why not? Because I'm honest. It's true. I know I'm quibbling over nothing, but being so poor weakens a person's very soul. That is actually kind of true. That is a serious issue. It can affect culpability, right? The direness of circumstances can, to some degree, affect culpability, but not entirely. It can't entirely mitigate culpability. What do you think about Catholic superheroes like Daredevil and Spider-Man? Wait, Spider-Man's Catholic? I mean, I I guess in some versions. I don't think of him as a Catholic superhero. Nightcrawler, I love Nightcrawler. He's one of my favorites of the X-Men. Nightcrawler and Gambit are definitely my favorites. And Gambit's Catholic too, right? I always assumed he was, being New Orleans and stuff. But I tend to really like Catholic superheroes. I think that it fits very well in terms of heroism. Venom is Catholic, like Venom or Eddie Brock. Um, I will say I leave a lot of that to my wife. Erica writes a lot of just wanting to eventually like write this as a graphic novel and maybe even get it published. But she has some ideas for like Catholic superheroes and even like a Catholic, a fundamentally like at its roots Catholic superhero context kind of thing. Oh, Eddie Brock is. Yeah, okay, I think I do that. I think I do that. But especially with all of like the Iron Age stuff coming, I think that coming up lately, I think that now would be a good time for it. I think she could do a great job with it. It's just that God, the process of actually writing, illustrating, and everything a graphic novel is just good lord. I cannot imagine doing that sort of thing. Cannot imagine it. The anything that comes to either writing fiction or any kind of visual art to me might as well be magic. I just can't. I have no talent for any of that. Um, but boy howdy, my wife does. So it's basically magic as far as I'm concerned. Wait, Eddie actually convinces the symbiote to worship Jesus. That's insane. I love it. Jewish hippie guy who preached peace. That's amazing. That's amazing. Is that from a specific like comic story? Like Eddie evangelizes the symbiote? Because that I need to read that. That's great. Um, the DiMaggios, huh? Hmm. That sounds familiar. Or Catholic graphic novelist couples. Huh. Oh, it's your headcanon. Oh, okay, okay. Because that'd be a cool story. I'd like to read that. Sometimes Bruce Wayne is Catholic. Yeah, sometimes he's Catholic. Sometimes he's what Methodist or Presbyterian or something. He's always Christian. In Pennsylvania's. Okay. I mean, I think I've heard of their work somewhere. The name sounds familiar in the context of like Catholic literature. So. It's time I quit making silly excuses for myself. Thank you so much. Thanks to you, I didn't have to sink down to the level of a common thief. I'll never do anything like that again. Oh, what an amazing feeling. I've let all my worries out of my heart. Wow, I actually feel refreshed. Let me at least thank you. Please take this. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, that was worth it. Absolutely worth it. Oh man. Don't look at me like that. I didn't steal it. It washed up on the shore, so I picked it up. Don't tease me like that. The tiny bottle made of crystal clear glass. It's so beautiful. I wish my soul could be that beautiful. Oh, what am I saying? When you live in poverty, you can say the cheesiest things without blinking an eye. So I guess I should go soon. My father will start worrying. Goodbye, little ally of justice. Good luck to you. Bye. Thanks for tonight. Aw. Yeah, I think that's absolutely epic. That Catholicism is always portrayed in media as the definitive true religion, or maybe not necessarily. There's a lot of very anti-Catholic media, but if there is a religion that is taken seriously, it's usually Catholicism. You never see the devil mocking Islam, Mormonism, Protestantism. Satanists don't have a black endowment ceremony or a black revival retreat. They have black masses. That's right. When you said that humph, you made it sound like she was gonna peck Link on the cheek when she ran off. I mean, there was okay. Listen, that's the vibe I was getting. Just saying, that is the vibe I was getting. Um. Anyway, It's midnight. I'm incredibly tired. We went to the aquarium today. Not the aquarium. We went to the aquarium Sunday. We went to the zoo today. And Michael is in his randomly running away from us phase. So we're very lucky we didn't get a Harambe situation. So I'm tired. And it's midnight here. So that's all I got. That's all I've got in me tonight. So thank you. You didn't. I didn't in my playthrough because I don't do voices. Oh yeah, see, the voices really help characterize the characters, I think. Anyway, all right. Oh gosh, it's getting late. So thank you so much for joining me. I had a good time, despite spending an hour and a half fighting Orca. We might actually wind up doing some more side quests next week. We'll see. Um, Before we move on to the actual next two temples, I'll probably do more side quests. Now that I'm thinking about it. Anyway, so with that, I'll see you guys next week. Um, I'll be starting the semester too, so I'll have more to talk about. So that should be fun. Anyway, thank you all one more time for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful night and a wonderful week. And remember, don't be safe. Be well. And more importantly, be good. Good night, folks.